Is there any pronouncement from the Supreme Court that says that complying with the act is unlawful? No. I'm not a lawyer. You understand me? So we need to tarry in the way that we say these things. But the point is that President Mahama is very interested in getting people to comply with the law. It is the reason why for the first time in our history, he has sanctioned persons who have failed to do this. That is an indication of a new direction. So I cited the law to show you that this thing is regulated. It is not just left in the constitution. It is regulated. Indeed, the sanctions for not doing so are actually spelled out. So when he says that indeed it does not lie in the mouth of President Mahama to apply sanctions, it is actually true. But he has taken administrative measures.
So essentially, Lawyer Matipepo is not wrong.
Yeah, it's not. But I'm also not wrong, actually. Yes,
and you are also
I'm also not wrong. As I speak, if you show me a judicial pronouncement that says that complying with the act is unlawful, then what he's saying is justified.
Right.
But there's a reason why the act was passed. It was to clarify what the position was. And if you look at the act, it gives you up to 6 months to do it, and then spells out specific sanctions for failing to do so. Okay. But President Mahama, on February 18th, which is barely 6 weeks or so into his presidency, laid down this matter. Only last Monday, he publicly spelled out sanctions for those who had failed to comply, and then gave indication that further refusal to comply will attract stiffer sanctions. I am only making the point that there are people who have been appointed a day after that deadline was given. So it will not be fair to hold them to the same deadline. That's the point I'm making. That's all.
Yes.
My
reference was with those who had not declared before Monday. In fact,
yes,
beyond
they are going to be sanctioned. Yes.
Beyond the sanctions of their 3-month salary, forfeiting their 3-month salary, there was the call that they should have been sacked. You know, not giving.
Well, of course, those who.
I'm sure you've heard that.
I've heard. Oh, of course. It is a valid criticism, Alfred, and I don't begrudge those who say that. But of course, we have to start from somewhere. In the past, people flouted this without any consequence at all, and nobody said anything. We lamented it, and nothing was done. But this time, President Mahama is setting a certain tone that we need to comply with it. There's a reason why the asset declaration law is there. Some have even criticized the whole asset declaration regime and said that this is inadequate, and that because of the lack of checks and balances, unless of course some scandal emerges, you are not even sure whether what has been declared is actually accurate, and that the person is even telling the truth. In fact, when you file the forms, the Auditor General's legal department, they go through the forms to make sure that you filled it properly before they seal it again. Once that is sealed, it doesn't become public until you get into some trouble, and then a court or perhaps judge requests that they produce it in order to check. Some have argued that that is even inadequate, and that there have to be ways of monitoring compliance with this, and to see whether people are actually telling the truth, and that they don't find ways to overstate their assets with a view to acquiring more in future. Some have criticized it. It is valid, so we can have a conversation about it. But the position of the law must be clear and set within the context of what the president is trying to do.